Hello and welcome to a very loud episode of Sunday School. If we've learned one thing from going through the Bible for the last few weeks, we've learned that God wants us to trust Him. Now, because the Bible is one book, that doesn't change. In fact, moving on a few generations, we're going to talk about one of Abraham's descendants. His name was Joseph, and his story is actually pretty long, so we're going to get right to it.
Joseph was one of 12 brothers and was the second youngest. He was also his father Jacob's favorite. To show his favor, he gave Joseph a wonderful coat of many colors. His older brothers weren't so happy. They were jealous of Joseph that he had gotten the coat and was their father's favorite. They said a lot of mean things about Joseph. Joseph, one night, had a dream from God. He didn't know that the dream was predicting the future yet and told his brothers about it. In that dream, lots of things were bowing down to him. His brothers didn't take this very well and thought he was insulting them, saying they should bow down to him. I'll give you 3 guesses as to how much they liked him at this point. If you guessed not at all, you'd be right. So, one day Joseph's brothers were out tending the flocks of sheep. Joseph went out to bring them food. Here, the brothers saw an opportunity. They decided to throw Joseph in a pit and tear off his colored coat. Only one of his older brothers, his name was Reuben, didn't help. He planned to get Joseph out of the pit later. But after he had left, the other brothers did something terrible. They sold Joseph to some traders, and they took him away to Egypt. There, the traders sold him again to a man named Potiphar. Now, Potiphar was actually pretty good to Joseph, and Joseph liked Potiphar. Potiphar rewarded him for hard work, and soon Joseph had Potiphar's favor. But he was still a slave. Things only got worse for a while. Potiphar's wife tried to get Joseph to be like a second husband to her, but Joseph, being a godly man and not wanting to hurt Potiphar, refused. So Potiphar's wife pretended that Joseph had attacked her so she could get revenge on him. Potiphar threw Joseph in prison. There, 2 of the other prisoners who had worked for Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, had strange dreams. God gave Joseph the ability to interpret the dreams and tell them what they meant. When one of the prisoners was released from prison later to go back to work for Pharaoh, he remembered Joseph. So when Pharaoh had a strange dream and no one could interpret it, Joseph was called before Pharaoh to see if he could help. Pharaoh told Joseph his dream. 7 fat cows were eaten by 7 skinny cows, but the cows didn't get any fatter. And thanks to God's help, Joseph knew what the dream meant. He told Pharaoh that there would be 7 years of plenty of food and then 7 years of famine, with almost no food at all. So Pharaoh had Joseph help him plan to store food and put him in charge of a lot of the whole country. Egypt survived the famine easily. But God's plan for Joseph wasn't quite done yet. Remember Joseph's older brothers? Well, it's their turn to come back into the story. They were hungry. Canaan, where they lived, was suffering from the famine, so they traveled to Egypt to try and get some food. When they came before Joseph to ask for it, they didn't recognize him. So Joseph decided to do one test, to see if his brothers had become good men, or if they still had hatred in their hearts. When distributing the food, he pretended his youngest brother, Benjamin, had stolen something from him. He said he was going to punish Benjamin by making him a slave. But the other brothers begged and said that they should be punished instead. So Joseph knew that his brothers had become good men. He revealed himself as their brother and invited his whole family to move to Egypt and live together with him.
It can feel very difficult when bad things happen to us, especially when a lot of them do. A lot of bad things certainly happened to Joseph, but Joseph trusted God. He trusted that God would help him and save him in his time of need. And if we trust God too, we might find at the end of our tunnel, there's a light. Here are some questions based on the story of Joseph that goes from Genesis 37, then 39 to 46. Like I said, it's really long. How do you think Joseph kept going, even though everything was so difficult for him? Why do you think God let all these bad things happen to Joseph? How do you think Joseph's brothers ended up becoming better people? Next week, we're going to move on to a new part of the Bible and talk about a man named Moses.